Hey, Dustin Vanoy here. So I've got this Azure bill that's a little bit more than I want to be paying. It's probably about $150 more a month than I want to pay. I want it all to be free, but let's be real. I know I had to pay for some resources for the videos and training that I'll do, and so I just wanted to kind of share with you really quickly how I go into the cost analysis tool within the Azure portal to take a look at which things are costing me money, narrow down the resource group, narrow down the resource type, and I'll even show you how to get down to which thing within Azure Event Hubs is actually costing me that money. Should be a pretty quick one. Let's get right into it. So if I look at, this is just the overview page of the cost management section of Azure, and I can see right away that Event Hubs is costing me the most money so far this month. And I know from past experience that that's a little more than it should be costing me based on what I try to do in this account. So what I'll do is I'll find the Event Hub section in this donut chart, click on it, and go into view details here. View to details took me to cost analysis, which you could also browse to on that left panel. So sometimes I'll just jump straight to cost analysis instead of looking at the summary. Okay, so on the cost analysis screen, let's make sure we understand this first chart. So right now I'm at here in the month. And what I'm seeing is that I've gone over my budget. I'm looking at a specific Synapse budget right now, but I could switch to I have a couple of budgets in here. My overall budget's a little more accurate. I wanted to be about 100 and I'm already past that. And so what it's shown me is that by the end of the month, I should be up here where I'm at about $235, about 135 over what I wanted. So that's what this chart's telling me. And I have the same sort of chart that I was looking at a moment ago here, and I can go find Event Hubs, which is my main cost, and focus on that first. As I drill in and it comes up, we'll be able to then be filtered on Event Hubs across this whole page, and then we can start to drill into specific resources and costs. Okay, so it added this filter up here, which I could go and tweak manually if I choose to. I do have some options to change up this chart, but I think what I'll do is just show you kind of the quick way that I typically do it. And this is going to get me down to some more detail. So if I switch to meter, there you can see there's a lot of options there. Quite a few of them for me are always the same because I only have a few resource groups and a lot of times things are all grouped together. But meter is a way to get down to some detail within the service type that I'm dealing with. Here we go. So it's starting to tell me something pretty useful. It's telling me I'm spending $26 already on capture. For me, that tells me a couple things. One, I'm doing more capture than I really need to for this environment. Two, I could just turn off capture since this is just a demo environment. I think I turned that on for one of the presentations I did back in November and just simply forgot to keep an eye on it. So that'll save me some money. It's 26 right now. If I go and filter on capture and then start to look at my estimate, I might be able to see that here's what it'll end up costing me if I don't do something about this. So here, now that I'm filtered down to capture, I can see that I'm planning to spend about $75 on capture. And so if I cut that out, that cuts out a big chunk of my overage, not all of it, but a big chunk of my overage. And so that's the thing I'll go and do next is get rid of my capture. The other thing I can do, and at this point, I usually go to the resource itself because if I haven't already looked at the resource group, I can easily switch over to resource group and see where these resources live. I would go look at the resource and look for anything going on that I really don't need. For Event Hubs, I'd be looking at what is my throughput set at? Am I paying for more throughput than I really need? In this case, I probably am. I could probably scale that down a little bit. So that's Event Hubs. We figured that out. I'll go make those changes shortly. So now from this main page, I can also look at other resources, of course. And I don't have a whole lot that I want to turn off. I keep this container running all the time. Virtual network is something that's relatively new for me. And quite frankly, I probably don't need that for a demo environment. So I believe what I have set up is a private link, and I don't think I'm actually using it for anything important. And so that's probably something else I can go look at. What I'm doing now is just the same concept of what we just did. Filter on virtual network, take a look at any subcategories or metering that I want to see for it. But most importantly, what I'm looking at is I'm spending $45 on virtual network this month, and it's really not necessary for this environment. In a production environment, I would be spending money on virtual network and private link, and it'd totally be worth it to keep my data safe because a data breach is way more expensive than $45, hundreds of dollars that you could spend on virtual networking. But this is a demo environment, and so that's kind of why I'm calling this out as something I would change. Notice that the location kind of helps me see that it's across multiple regions, probably in different environments within my subscription. And so I could go and dig into that a little more if I wanted to. Probably, let's see if we can find the right one here. I think if I went to resource, I might actually get a name to go along with these, and that might help me find it easier in the portal. Okay, so filtering on resource got me to where I can actually see exactly where this exists, and I could go search for it and take care of things. So some of these are a little less expensive, of course, than the biggest expense is my Synapse workspace that is using a virtual network and private link. So there we go. I've identified at least $100 that I can save myself by going and changing up some of those settings. I'll probably end up just removing that workspace because, like I said, this is a demo environment. I can easily recreate it if I need it. So it's a little bit easier than in the real world when you're worried about breaking something that another team's using. But that's the very basic flow of looking at cost management within Azure. So there you go. That's how I reduce my costs within Azure, at least the idea of how I find out which costs need to be reduced. I hope you found that helpful. All my other videos are really more about data engineering a lot of times within Azure. So if you want to hear more about data engineering, subscribe to the channel. Check out my website, dustinvannoy.com, to see the other types of material I offer. Thanks. See you next time.